Hello and welcome to another video. We're going to be discussing the three types of cables associated with uh, networking, networks, in we're talking here in computer networks. So we have a computer networks. The cable that connect those nodes or computers can be classified as one of the three. First of all is twisted pair. This is the least immune type of connection. We have actually shielded twisted pair. This is very similar to the cable that we have in our house for the old phone systems. You notice it's the same type of cabling, very similar to it. Shielded twisted pair. And again, this is cheap and it can be easily accessible and it's everywhere. Historically, it has been used heavily. Then we have the coax that's similar to the cable, TV cable type of connection, and this is better type of connection than twisted pair because they coat the cable with additional layers in order to prevent the electromagnetic field from penetrating it. Because both of those are transmitting twisted pair and coax, they transmit the message or the bits as electronics. So if there is an electronic field nearby, it might be affecting them. Then we have the fiber optic, which is incredibly fast and incredibly immune in a way that it's not being impacted by electromagnetic field because it transmits data as photons, as lights. And this is now in the future. It's a little bit more costly, but the prices has dropped down sharp. I mean, comparing to how they used to be in the recent years. These are the three cablings that we should know a little bit about. We know a little bit about at this moment, but they're basically that's what they are. Then, if we want to discuss networks in general, computer networks, we need to understand there is more side beside the technical side, which is why do we need a computer network? Okay, we need a computer network because we need to have the ability to share, to communicate better. Let's put it this way: communicate better with other people, communicate better with other people over distance. The second is to share resources, including hardware. Instead of buying a very expensive, instead of buying a cheap printer for every node, we buy a very fancy, expensive laser printer that everybody can share. We still could save with that type of approach. Of course, we can share, of course, software. So instead of installing software everywhere in a separate, disconnected computers, we could install it on one computer and every other person will be able to have the same installation without difficulty at all. The other thing that we should be aware of is to share data, which really data is the food that the software will consume in order to actually produce outcome we call information that will allow people in the business world to make an informed decision, which really the value of all this is to make better decision for all business people. Again, we could do a lot of other advantage, probably to access the internet. So there's a lot of resources, additional resources such as internet, talking to many stakeholders, people of all sorts of connection, vendors, customers, suppliers, and so forth. And we could go on and on. So these are probably obvious 4 advantages to why we have computer network. The other thing that I wanted to discuss very quickly is the difference between between an intranet, let's go ahead and break it into two syllabi here, and extranet. We call them intranet and extranet. Intranet is a private, private network that utilizes or uses the internet technology. And all businesses these days have intranet where they could communicate. You will be able to access your personal data, your salaries, your health plan, anything that pertaining to you individually. You could able to do that through the intranet. The extranet is really where you connect your business with other additional or external entity, to connect your business with external entities, such as suppliers, customers. If I want to buy a pair of jeans from, let's say, Macy or JCPenney, I will be using their extranet in order to get eventually to their data, so I'll be able to choose one of their pair of pants of my choice. So I don't have the access to their intranet because that's completely secure from me. It would have a firewall. A firewall is a software. Firewall is a combination, in most cases, combination of both hardware and software to prevent intruders from accessing your network or intranet in this case. So we have to prevent people from, if they're external to the intranet, then we have to really prevent them from accident. Of course, people could hack into your intranet and steal some of your pertaining data or private data, but that's why we have firewalls to minimize that type of activity that goes and that type of activity that is malicious, which lead us to discuss quickly the different type between virus. Virus is a software. Okay, let me go ahead and misspell that. Okay, virus, and versus Trojan horse versus worms. Okay, a virus is typical malicious software that will create a damage. There's many of those around in the thousands. Historically, we can't really trace all of them personally, but I remember a few of them that really changed the face of industry by creating massive damage. Trojan horse is a malicious software also, but it will hide itself until the user triggers some type of activities and it open itself and wreak havoc on your computers. It's coming from the Troy story, the legendary story about the Greek mythology, and that's where the name comes from. Worms, it's a malicious software that can duplicate itself repeatedly until it shut even your computer or network. So worms can duplicate itself to where it takes over the resources for your computer. So these are three types of malicious software. Of course, we have a lot of malware, in addition to those one. Let me go ahead and stop here. This video has become a little bit longer than what I needed, and we'll continue in the next videos.